Hi there, Rob here again with another video. And this is kind of an extension to the one that I did on Tuesday, which was all about kind of practice pad work, how you can structure your practice, maybe some new things to think about when you're practicing, just giving you some new ideas for structure and creativity and things like that. So I hope you found that useful. And then I was doing some spring cleaning today, but then I got back on the pad, has to be done. And I recorded a few different videos and I thought I would sort of talk about them really, break them down a little bit and just go into, what I spoke about in the last video, kind of showing you how I can do that in kind of real time now, if you like, through the videos that I took. I took about 5 or 6 videos and I'll discuss them. And this is just like another way to practice. Now, I thought about this as well, because as I was cleaning earlier, I thought, well, a few people at the Dorset Drum Show, which was fantastic, Warren Thomas, good organisation, it was great fun. And hello to everyone I saw and met and signed autographs or whatever. Nice to see you all. They mentioned that they really like my videos, the little shorts that I do and the reels on Instagram and YouTube, pad-wise, and also the ones that I do with some electronic music and things like that. And I thought it's about time I went back to the pad exercises. But anyway, one of them was saying to me, they're sort of quite inspiring and they make them feel that they want to go back to the pad and do some work. And, where do I get the ideas from? I've touched on this a few times before, but today, this is a perfect example. So today I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a bit of practice and I'm not just going to do it freestyle. I'm going to do it with a groove. And I kept it down to just under a minute so I can use them as reels and shorts. But obviously in the practice I kind of took them further and then I videoed little snippets to show the examples. So, it was kind of like, okay, basically I'm going to get something at 80 BPM. I'm going to program a pattern using kind of Linn drums and 808s and all the classic drum machines. I can't remember all the ones that I used. Put some reverb, some delays on them and stuff, But 80 BPM, not terribly slow, but it's quite slow. And I just wanted to work these ideas through. So this is something you could do yourself. So you could either set up your metronome or your click at whatever tempo you want. Today mine's at 80. And because I was thinking I didn't really want to, I wanted to deal with creating patterns, because I spoke in the last video about how we can stitch patterns together and stuff like that. I just wanted to deal more with the playing, not looking at speed so much. And because it's 80 BPM, if I had to play double the tempo, that's like 160, so I'd have to work really hard on that. And I thought, well, that's okay. I could do that, but it was more about piecing ideas at real time with semi-quavers, semi-quaver triplets. I might go into 30 seconds occasionally. So that was the basic sort of layout of what I was doing. So, as I say, you could do a similar thing, just get on GarageBand or whatever and just program some simple grooves. And the one I did the other day was in 7/8, so you could do odd times or anything you like. So the first thing I did was just played along at this tempo, freestyle, just doing whatever I wanted. And I thought, okay, now I'm falling into a flam situation here. Everything seems to be based around flams. Then I went into some sort of hand-to-hand stickings with just accents, but I kept them all hand to hand as much as I could. Then I was looking at double strokes and the paradiddle family and then some rolls. And just, as I say, keep moving the ideas around that 80 BPM and trying to find different ways of reproducing those ideas. So let's just quickly tuck into the videos. Okay, so the first one is on double strokes and rolls. So I was playing like closed daddy mammy rolls. Sometimes they were press rolls. Again, I think more about the duration that I'm playing them for rather than whether they're daddy mammies or double strokes or press rolls. But the idea was to work them in kind of straight fields as semi-quavers and sometimes as triplets, eighth note triplets. So that's quite slow, but that's something I could use, mixing, multi-rates together. Or sometimes there were semi-quaver triplets. And I think occasionally I threw in a few 30-second note kind of press roll as well ideas. And then the doubles, I was moving around doubles phrased as eighth notes, 16th notes, 32nd notes, eighth note triplets at times. Again, thinking about the accents, accenting the first note of the double or the second note of the double, and just moving around them and trying to find phrases within that. And of course, what you're going to see is under a minute. So it's like, oh, I had to do a lot of playing in that time. When I was freestyling, I had a lot more choice. But okay, let me stop talking and I'll play what the doubles and the rolls sounded like. Okay, next up were the Flam family. So I decided to, again, look at whether it be eighth note triplets, 16th notes, 16th note triplets, 32nd notes. It was a question of moving different patterns through that BPM in whatever shape or form that I wanted, always trying to find some sort of thread. And it's never easy, it takes a lot of work to do this and it takes a lot of time, but you find out which ones work together. And I was trying to work between flamadiddles going into like multi-rates again. And, it's kind of, you could sit down and write them all out. I mean, I think in the past I have, and they're probably in books in that cupboard, where I've sat down and thought, right, I can put a flam on the first note of the triplet or 16th note, the second note of the triplet or the 16th note, or the third note of the triplet, third note of the 16th note. And with the 16th note, I could put it on the fourth, because obviously I've run out of notes with the eighth note triplets. So the combinations of moving that around, putting flams at the end of maybe a 5-stroke rough, things like that, the flam, the flam, or a flam in front of that, those kind of things. So is a question of just trying to find those ideas and knit them together and stitch them together. And this is what that sounds like. So next up is the hand-to-hand melodies. Now that's basically, I'm just playing hand-to-hand, right, left, or sometimes it'll be left, right. Again, trying to find little phrases, trying to find some interesting accenting that comes from just playing hand-to-hand patterns. Understanding that you can accent, again, if we look at the 4 notes within the 16th note, the first note, the second, the third, the fourth, the first and the second, first and the third, second and fourth, all second and fourth, first, there's combinations of plenty. And when you sort of pick a tempo like 80 and they're really open, they're not fast, you can really sort of hear the spaces between the notes and start to hear little melodies, da 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 da, all that sort of stuff, which is all syncopation that you hear when you hear in music, like guitar riffs or horn riffs or vocal lines. That's all that is. It's all syncopation. It's all rhythm. We've got these under our sticks all the time. Why should everyone else have all the fun? So, the idea there was to try and keep it at the 16th note, but I do occasionally obviously go into other rates, which is kind of fun to do. Also, when you're working to a click and you're mixing your multi-rates, it's good to know you're doing it with a click, because sometimes you might think, oh, I'm dragging it like an eighth note triplet to go back to a 16, and then I'm doubling that 16 to a 32, but actually you might not be always landing it on the 1 or whatever, you know, so it's good to do it to a click. And also I find that when you're playing to these sort of program patterns, it's better than just click, 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 click. That could be a little dull. Good practice, mind you, of course, nothing wrong with that. And in your head, you can work on the subdivisions between the notes. That's all fine as well. So that's good practice. But, you know, I quite like playing onto a groove. It makes me feel a bit more makes me feel a bit more musical. So anyway, so enjoy the hand-to-hand melodies with accents. Cool. Okay, next up was paradiddles. So look then. Okay, with paradiddles again, I was taking them from a sort of eighth note feel, eighth note triplet feel to 16th note feel, occasionally to demi-semi 32s. I keep changing the terminology from European to American, but you know, doubling those rates as well. Again, trying to move accents around, finding different ways that if I'm playing the 16th note pulse, if I break it down into the eighth note triplet pulse, it feels very staggered, like the whole thing's about to fall over, you know, moving from side to side, whoa, and then back into maybe, you know, 30 seconds, demi-semis. Getting the feel of that, how that works, and then picking out some accents. And I do a thing where I like to start the paradiddle not on the 1 or the 2. I'll start on the and. 1 and. So I'll start on the and of 1, 2, 3 or 4, doesn't really matter. And I'll start the paradiddle there and then phrase across the beat like that. I think I do that at the very start. And check it out. If it's something you don't do, that's something you could check out and do quite easily and quite quickly. It feels really good. It's just literally displacing it by a quaver and starting it at a different point. And then there was another time where I remember I stumbled across this. I was thinking, I like the accent of the paradiddle on the 1 and then the double. So that triple that so you're just moving around the single, the double and the triple and keeping all in the 16th note rate. But when the accents come, again, can make like a little syncopated melody line. And then of course I want to add more sometimes. And I do that where I'll sometimes play 5 paradiddle, let's say. So I'm playing 5 accents where there would normally be just 1, 2 or 3 on the classic rudiments. So this is, like I said in the last video, you can make up your own rudiments. So it would be power up, power up, power up, power up, paradiddle, power up, power, power up, power up, paradiddle. Yeah, and then you could do 6, you could do 7, and so on and so forth. And again, I'm doing that in the video, so look out for that. But also look out for the way I mentioned before. I found this originally very difficult, was phrasing single paradiddles as 8th note triplets. Very, very tricky. Again, has to be done with a click. You sometimes think you're doing it in free time, but you know, you need a click or a groove, a drum machine to show you exactly where the 1 lands, because sometimes you go over and it just ends up in the wrong place. But anyway, so there's some of that going on as well. And again, always trying to stitch it together with some sort of rhythmic melody if I can. So enjoy the paradiddles. And finally, I did something where I was messing with the time. Not a very interesting way of putting it, I suppose. I suppose you could say it's beat displacement, maybe some modulations in there. And yeah, you'll see in a second, I was just moving around the ideas. Some of it was done with stickings and rudiments. Some of it was done with the right hand playing on the pad. It was like a hi-hat or a ride cymbal or something. On my left hand playing the backbeat and then moving around different beats, moving around the various bits of a 16th note and displacing them. The sort of stuff Gavin Harrison does in his book Rhythmic Illusions, which I bought many moons ago, and it blew my mind. And I still use a lot of those different kind of displacements today because they're superb. So I'll be playing the hi-hat on the E and the R of a 16th note, but that becomes my new quaver, my new 8th note. So yeah, has to be done with the click. Da 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 da. A lot of da-das going on today. Some of those ideas also going into an 8th note kind of feel by playing, the first and the third and the second and then the first and third of the next triplet and all those kind of things. Or playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and da 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 dum get dum get, those kind of things. So that's what's going on in that. And I probably do a few little flammy things and a few rudimental things as well. But, this is just another way you can take it when you're thinking, oh, I've had enough of my practice. I can't think of anything else to do. This could be the next thing, using modulations and stuff. You don't have to be on the drum kit to work on, beat displacements and stuff. So check this one out. Okay, so there you go. I'm hoping you find that interesting. If you want to ask me any questions about it, that's fine. You can do. Leave a comment below, or you can contact me here on my email. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm just trying to, kind of give out these ideas when I feel them, because I've got a few videos already, my backlog of stuff where I go through this, but I think it's always good to reiterate it. And I'm always thinking of new things as well, new ways of explaining it, new ways of playing it, and coming up with new ideas too that I want to get across. So I hope you dug that, as they say, and have a lovely Friday, and be good, be well, and if you've got gigs at the weekend, enjoy. And as ever, thank you for watching, liking, subscribing and sharing. If you haven't done that, please do so now. It really helps me to grow the channel. And have a groovy weekend, and I'll see you on the next video.